Now, the IRFU, the governing body for rugby, of course, in this country, has released a statement this afternoon. Transgender women will not be allowed to compete against adult female rugby players in Ireland. They say this is being done in order to ensure fair competition and the safety of competitors. Ciara O'Loughlin has been writing about this for the Irish Independent. Ciara, what can you tell us?
Hi, Kieran. Thanks for having me on. Yeah, so we first reported yesterday that the IRFU was considering banning transgender women from competing in women's contact competitions as it was currently reviewing its transgender policy. And then, as you said, it came out today that this will be the case. The union has said that based on medical scientific evidence and in line with World Rugby guidelines, transgender women won't be allowed to compete in female competitions for the upcoming season. Now, it has said in these new guidelines that, you know, under the age of 12, mixed contact rugby is permitted, but over the age of 12, you know, this will be coming in that only girls or women whose sex was recorded as female at birth can compete in girls and women's contact leagues over the age of 12. Now, transgender men can continue to compete in male contact competitions. This was the policy before today, and it stays the policy. Now, the policy before today for transgender women was that they could compete in women's contact leagues, but there were some caveats, which included their testosterone levels had to be at a certain level, and that these could be checked at any time, and they had to be, you know, signed off by a GP beforehand. But now from today, it's that, you know, it's a ban.
And this, as you say, kind of brings them more into line with what World Rugby have recommended. What I understand has happened already across the pond. The RFU in England have a similar policy, and the justification for it, according to those governing bodies, is about safety. So, and you'll know more about this because, like I say, you've been covering it. It seems to be that they say, listen, you can account for testosterone, but you kind of can't account for size, and it's to do with player safety.
Yeah, so the English RFU, you know, they came out with their announcement last week, and they said they did a 2-year review. You know, that's why they decided to ban transgender women from competing in female contact games. But they said their evidence showed that the advantages in strength, stamina and physique brought about male puberty are significant and retained even after testosterone suppression. FINA, the World Swimming Governing Body, you know, earlier on this year, also put a similar ban in place. The International Rugby League has banned transgender women, and this will be including now the World Cup that begins in October. Now, what a lot of the LGBTQ plus organisations are saying, Emerald Warriors, they're Ireland's first LGBT inclusive rugby club. You know, they're just really worried about the repercussions this policy change will have, and if it will accelerate into other sports and just transphobia overall. Like the IRFU has said that 2 players are affected, and I understand that they were in contact with them before this policy change was announced, and asked them if they want to get involved in other ways like refereeing and playing tag rugby. But yeah, the Trans Equality Together have also condemned it, you know, saying it's openly sending a message to trans people, their families and their allies, that they're not welcome in the rugby community.
Those 2 individual players, so they've been told, listen, you can no longer play in the women's game, full stop. No. That's it. They can never play in it again. I guess they can say you can play in the men's game, but of course you don't identify as men, so you'd be playing, you know, as a woman against men, or here's all the non-contact or voluntary or refereeing options you can do. That's what's been offered to them.
Yes, so they can still play tag rugby, but not the contact games, which I believe they were involved in before.
All right, Ciara O'Loughlin, news reporter with the Irish Independent, who, as I say, has been covering this story in recent days. That statement was expected to some degree, but it has been confirmed now by the IRFU, the governing body for rugby in this country, that trans women will no longer be allowed to compete in the women's game, that only athletes registered as female at birth will be able to compete. Ciara, thank you for your time.